Welcome back, everybody, to Real Estate Today. We've got some really good topics for you today. For those of you who haven't joined us before, welcome. We are bringing to you 32 years of real estate experience in our brokerage of now 700 plus agents. We've got 10 plus brick and mortars. We've got agents virtually in our cloud-based brokerage, BE3, all over the place and expanding daily. And we've been through every pretty much cycle you can imagine. And so we're going to talk about what's going on in this market. We're going to talk about a really cool formula of success. We're going to hit a couple predictions of what's going to be going on in the next 90 days, and we're going to bring it to you. So I'm one of your hosts today, Jeff Beggins, and I'm here with my brother,
Greg Beggins. Peace out.
And I guess you're just our other brother now.
We're not even sure our moms aren't the same. No, I'm just kidding. Mike Booma.
So let's talk. We were talking right before this about a meeting I had with one of our agents, and we were talking about getting him back on. It was super top producer, high level. Life happens, right? He had some distractions in life and wants to kind of get back into it. So we kind of were joking around and kind of came up with a formula. And the formula is pretty interesting. So first it comes with the why, right? So why, the WHI, plus skills, I said your current skill set level, plus your mindset, plus the actions that you're taking, plus your comfort zone, right? Plus accountability equals your bank account statement and your asset sheet, right? So let me work that through one more time, right? So
let me comment on that, because I think that's a message that needs to be sent, because everybody thinks you get your real estate license and you make money. They forgot about the skills, the actions, the accountability, right? Those are things that have to happen. And even before that, you have to have clarity on what you're looking to get.
Which is probably the most difficult one.
It is,
right?
For sure.
To figure out what you're actually trying to do this for. And then, but once you get that vision, that picture of what you're actually looking to accomplish, then these other points come into the play. So let me say it one more time, and then let's break it down. So we've got the why. Why are you doing this? What's firing you up? And then skills, mindset, action, your comfort zone and accountability equals your current bank statement and your current asset sheet. So the first question is, are you okay with your current bank statement balance? And if you are, then you're doing great. Your mindset's on check, your skills are working, your action, your accountability, life is good if you're accomplishing your why and you're excited about where you are in life. Then congratulations, come on our podcast with us and teach us your secret. Everybody else on the planet that I know is working on clarifying their why, and then realizing that in order to do this, we've got to get some more skills and mindset work and all that stuff. So let's talk about them. Which one stands out to you? Puma, let's start with you. Let's talk about that formula. Which one pops?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's even simpler than that, right? I don't know. I was just having this conversation with the high school baseball team that I coached. The ambition coming out of our mouth has to match the actions that we're taking. It's really that simple. And so you can't say that you want things. You can't say you're going to do things. You know, I asked those guys, how many of you want to play in college? Almost every single kid's hands come up. I say, well, here's the problem. 7% of all the high school baseball players in the entire country play at the next level. 7%, right? So the reality is 2 of them might actually play at that next level. But they're all saying it. And then my follow-up question was, cool, all of you want to play in college. How many of you have talked to a college program? How many of you have gone and watched a college practice? How many of you are putting in work beyond just what we're doing here? How many of you are working towards actually taking action to make that happen? And 2 of them raise their hands. Like, okay, so the ambition coming out of your mouth is not currently mapping to the actions that you're taking. So the one of them is flawed. Either the ambition coming out of your mouth is bullshit and you don't actually want it, or you haven't really learned and are not holding yourself or having somebody else hold you accountable to taking the actions that you need to take to make that ambition a reality. Right? And it's that simple. And so I think for all of us, I mean, it's much harder in practice, but the reality is until we figure out all of us say things, right? And so what we have to really do, which is the challenging part when it comes to clarity, is figuring out what we're saying. Is it something we're interested in or something we're actually committed to making happen? And then if it is truly something we're committed to, whether that's buying a house, whether that's building a big real estate business, whether that's playing college baseball, then it's a matter of, okay, now we need to take actions to get us there. Are we taking actions? Are those actions getting us the results we want? Are we on track? Are we off track? And that's where the accountability comes in. And with accountability, you usually fall in one of two camps. You either have the ability to hold yourself accountable, right? Where if I don't wake up and do this, I'm not gonna be able to go to sleep tonight, right? That kind of accountability. Or no, I don't really hold myself accountable, but you know what? I don't want to let Jeff down. So, Jeff, you be my accountability partner, and I'm going to do whatever it takes, because if I let Jeff down, I'm going to be upset. Cool. That's another form of accountability, but you're going to need that, right? So, you got to figure those things. You got to get really clear on what you want, but you also have to get really clear on what it's going to take you to get yourself there.
And figure out.
We talked on the last podcast about 49% of the real estate agents in the industry did between 0 and 1 transactions last year.
Right, and outside
that's the missing component right there.
And outside
their words don't match their actions.
And that's not just real estate. That's just in life, right?
That's life, right?
Your top 1%, right, of everything are the ones that are doing the best at it. But that's just those that want that, right? And I think that's kind of another clarity moment too, is what do you really want? Like I'll give an example for our cloud-based brokerage, right? The BE3. Initially, it was to get a ton of agents. That's not anymore what the goal is on that anymore, because that's easy to do, right? We learned that pretty quickly, that we could get scale and massive number of people, but that's not the lifestyle or the type of people we want to be around, right? So now it's kind of zero focus, laser focus into our regional model, where we're hiring a really cool regional president and that we like, that can carry our message and be kind of an extension of our voice, right? Be very easy to do what other companies are doing and just hire anybody who can fog a mirror just to kind of get an agent count up. But that's not it. We want to have a cool tribe of really neat people that we like to hang out with, that we think are fun extensions of ourselves, right? Of the vision that we want for our company. So it turns out to be one great regional president with about 100 awesome agents in each region. And that's what is going to make us happy for this one. So you fine tune and you tweak this along the way too.
That's a really valid point, though, and because we constantly need to be reassessing what we're actually working towards, right? And then a lot of times we might actually be really clear. Hey, I want this, right? Just using the college baseball. I want to play college baseball. Awesome. You start your ambition. That's your ambition. Your actions start mapping to it. You're putting in the work. You keep getting better, stronger. All of a sudden now, boom, I get an offer to go play college baseball. I get there, and then I realize, holy shit, this is really hard. This is a full-time job. I also have to go to school. How am I going to pay for everything outside of this? Oh my God. And now all of a sudden, maybe you start to realize, you know what? I don't actually want to play college baseball, right? Yeah. Boom, priority shifts. Now we need to become accountable to something else. So things shift, things change. Sometimes you accomplish something and you really wanted it. You were really clear on it. And then you figured out, wait a minute, once you had it, you know what? I don't like that, right? That isn't the model. Or you know what? This could be even better. Let me change this. So it's really important that we're constantly reassessing this. So if you are watching this saying, yeah, I'm really clear on what I want, and I've already taken actions to get there, and my bank account's good, cool. Now, is there anything else, right? Look at all aspects of your life. Is there anything else that's missing? Are you really excited about what's happening, right? Or maybe that's just what you used to want, because we're going to continue to develop as people. We're going to continue to develop as a business. Everything's constantly flowing and changing, and you need to be reassessing that.
And it's the old hierarchy of needs, right? The Maslow's hierarchy of needs everybody learned in school, right? You get your levels of your safety and comfort and survival first, right? You've got to breathe. You need fresh air and you need clean water and some food to eat, right? And then once you have that, then you need a place to sleep. That's probably you're not going to get killed, right? A little bit of safety, and then you start getting into community belongings, and then a little bit of love and connections, and then a little self-actualization. You kind of go through that process. But life is unique and interesting, and we get knocked down a couple pegs here and there along the way. right? Maybe you're at a self-actualization, something happens to your relationship or your finances, and unexpected happens, you get knocked down a couple ladders, and you're back into, oh crap, where am I going to live, right? And so so you got to be fluid with this thing too, and a lot of that rolls into the mindset, right? So you've got to be a little bit flexible with in creating what you actually want, because I think you got everyone's figured out by now that we get to really control our perspective of life, right? We completely 100% determine what our life is. We have our interpretation of what's happening, and I've got mine, Craig's got his, Mike, you got yours, and everybody around us has theirs, and none of them are right on because they're all made up anyway. So it's our perspective of what's going on that kind of drives us forward on this. So that's
what was that quote I gave at sales meeting yesterday? It says, you are the creator of your experience, not the victim of your circumstance, right? And that's a mindset that you have to achieve, because a lot of people are the victim of the circumstances. It's just, what's this Steve Martin? I was born a poor black child. No, you have, look at Oprah Winfrey. There's no holdbacks, right? You are the creator of your experience, not the victim of your circumstance. So
And
what?
I've always told my kids, if anyone who's ever looked like you, come from the same spot, physical, whatever it is, if they look like you and they've accomplished it, it's possible, right? And for almost anyone, you could map to somebody who has come from similar circumstances, similar backgrounds, similar whatever, and has accomplished something that you want to accomplish. It's possible. So there's no reason that you're thinking it's impossible. Right. But the reality, to your point, Greg, I mean, how many people right now, there's a lot of people in the marketplace that have not done any real estate transactions, who have not taken any, who won't buy a house right now, who won't invest right now because rates are high, this, that, or the other. Yet there were 39 people who transacted yesterday with our company alone. Right. 39 people. So for every person that's out there saying, no, rates are too high, you shouldn't buy right now, no, don't do that, there's a lot of those people. But then there's 39 people who took action yesterday. There's 39 people who got really clear on what they wanted. And they wanted to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And they spoke to a lender. They got their finances in order. They got with one of our agents. They went through the whole process and took action. And they transacted yesterday. 39 people alone, right? With just us. So my point being is that you're always going to have people that are sitting on the sidelines. And then you're always going to have people that are taking action. So you have to decide, are you making an excuse? Because it's easy. This is the hardest part. It's easy to justify shit to ourselves, isn't it?
Yes.
It's easy to say, Craig, you've been working out really hard. It'd be easy for you to go grab a cookie right now and be like, you know what? I worked out really hard yesterday. Let me grab that cookie. You could justify it. Right? You can justify an expense. We do it all the time. Oh, you know what? We should fly that private plane down there and we start the human mind is amazing at building justifications. What I'm always trying to be conscious of is making sure that I'm using that to justify pushing myself out of my comfort zone versus making an excuse of why I didn't do something.
That's
right.
The issue.
That's the biggest difference.
The biggest issue is that comfort zone.
I was just going to say the same.
And it's so simple to stay in it because none of us have to get out of it. That's the craziest part, right? You can adjust your life to anything you want to stay in your comfort zone. Now, all those things you quote unquote want, you don't really want them. You kind of want them, but you're not willing to go get them. So they weren't a commitment that was necessity. So it's easier to stay in your comfort zone than modify your mindset, skills, and actions to get something that's uncomfortable because you might fail. Right? And odds are you will fail. And it's going to be painful along the way to get something new that you've never had before. So why even try when it's not necessary?
Right.
That's the issue.
Speaking of comfort zone, Jeff, where did you and I go last weekend?
Oh, at the boat show, baby.
Oh, did that move? I've got a very nice boat. I love my boat. It's a great boat. And then I went to the boat show and I found a lot of other boats that were prettier and shinier and nicer and newer and way more expensive, right? So now I'm trying to justify, what do I need to do to buy that boat?
And it's easy to do.
Yep.
Easy to do.
It's easy to do. Oh, listen to this. So Kai, my son, he goes into school. They have share time in the morning. They sit around the circle. They talk about it.
Oh
So
no.
here's Kai recollection of the boat show, which is part of my accountability now.
He liked that $7 million boat.
So yeah, we went to the boat show. It was awesome. Saw a cool boat. Saw a $7.5 million yacht. It was great, except my dad can't afford it.
Oh.
Did you say that? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, damn it. That hurt, Kai. That hurts.
My man spitting facts.
You knew how to throw that one pretty quick at me. I'm like, all right, game on, baby. That's what you want? That's what you want? So that's a comfort zone moment at the meantime.
You created a monster.
Those are the type of things, though. That's exactly what we're talking about. Because at the end of the day, you may not even really care about the boat, but it's more about proving to him, like, oh yeah.
I'll show you.
There's stuff like that all the time with my kids. But you got to figure out what drives you and find that pain point. And if it doesn't exist, make it up. Make it up, right? Tell yourself a story. I don't care if you have to make it up. That was the thing that stood out to me the most in the Michael Jordan documentary, right? When he got to a point, if you have not watched The Last Dance, it's a 10-part series, you need to go watch it. Every single person needs to go watch it because it is a masterclass in mindset. And the fact is that for those who've watched it will remember this, he got to a point where he was so much better than everybody else and had achieved so much that the only way he could get himself to continue to perform and put in the work at that level was to make up stories that the other guys were talking crap about him. Literally made up to the point where he did a press conference about statements that another player made that the player never made. But he had to get himself to a place mentally where he believed it to get himself to push through. And I don't know, hard to argue with the results of being the greatest basketball player to ever step foot on the court, right? And if you look at those guys, if you look at, as much as it pains me, Tom Brady's of the world, and you look at these guys that have become the best, I mean the best at the world, there is a commonality there of their mindset and doing whatever it takes to get their mindset there. And that includes sometimes making shit up. That includes pretending that your bank account is at zero. Yep. That includes, I know a guy who's a very high performer. He literally pretends like he's got cancer and he's got 90 days to live. I'm not making this up. He lives his life in 90-day increments, and he has gone as far to tell other people sometimes that he's got 90 days to live. And what it does, it forces him, because ask yourself right now, if you found out tomorrow that you had 90 days to live, what actions would you take? What would you do? Right? And what if you could get there mentally? Would it change what you're doing today? Would it change where you live? Would it change who you hang out with? Would it change who you're dating, married to? Would it change? What would it change? And try it. I'm not saying go get divorced. I'm just saying but it's a very interesting way to reevaluate where you are currently in the life you're living. And if it's not the life you'd want to live when you're dying 90 days from now, maybe it's time to make a change. Right? So you got to get there one way or another. And that's easier for some and harder for some, but I'm not against making shit up if you need to get yourself there.
That's a powerful statement right there. That's a powerful tool because only you can create that own vision in your mind, and you're the only one that create that emotion. And if that emotion is enough to drive you, then it's unstoppable. It's unstoppable. Nobody can stop you when you're driven. Right? The whole point is most people don't live in a driven state, and it's no way to really live in that constant driven state. So when you need that push, I mean that's the tough part. Right? Do you need the $7.5 million boat?
No.
Does anybody need that?
Rather the plane. No. So I'm remembering a time, maybe 20 years ago, when The Secret, the movie The Secret, came out.
Oh yeah.
And I was so excited by that thing. I just, my mindset, it was all there. And I brought it home and I watched it with my wife and my children. And I was just like, they're going to love this. This is so cool. And my youngest daughter, Samantha, like, I don't get it. You mean all I got to do is hope and think something's going to happen and I'm going to get it? And, it kind of hit home. No, that's part of it. You have to hope and wish you can get it. But to the next point on our agenda is you have to have skills, right?
And there's no reason to get the skills unless you get focused on something that you want.
Right. So there's a progressive realization, right? You have to have a why, but you have to do work, and that's where a lot of the real estate people forget that. It takes work. There's skills that are necessary. And right now, we're on a push because the industry is changing to, we want our agents to start interviewing buyers about and make a presentation to a buyer about what we do as a real estate agent to help them with their transaction. And too often it's been happening that, you meet a buyer, you put them in a car, you show them a house. That's not the game anymore. We're going to be competing. And I'm super excited because we're going to have fewer real estate agents, but the real estate agents that remain in the market are going to become better. Right? So we're going to start competing against better people, which means we need to be better. And that's our message as a company right now. And we're going through lots of stuff. Jeff, you and I have some videos to produce for that. But it's going to be an exciting time because the cream is going to rise to the top. And we want to be on the top.
And it's not just that. You've got 90 days until this market ignites, right? And it's going to ignite with significantly fewer people in the industry than ever before. So those who have the right mindset, the right skill, are taking the actions now are going to be exponentially further ahead than they even think about in their mind. So this is the time that we have right now to figure that out, right? It's exciting to me.
Well, I think skill set and strategy are so important because, again, coming back to where this all started, ambition has to match our actions, right? So let's say, like I've heard agents say, I want to be the number one agent in the world. Okay, that's ambitious. Do you know what that takes? Have you looked at the numbers? Because here's the reality. If they have, right, then let's say that's doing 200 deals, 300 deals. Do you have the capacity to do 200 to 300 deals? Are you willing to give up everything else in your life to do those 200 to 300 deals? Because the reality is, for most people, the answer is no. So then that ambition is bullshit. Oh, I want to make $1 million. Awesome. Who are you talking to? $300,000 for sale by owners. Great. Do you know how many of those you're going to have to do to make $1 million? Right? So one of them has got to change. If my ambition, my clarity, my lifestyle is going to result in me needing to make $1 million, and I don't have the time to do 120 smaller for sale by owners, what are my alternatives? Well, my alternatives are to get really skillful and strategic and talk to $1 million for sale by owners. That's going to get me a lot faster in a reasonable time frame, right? So it's not just the action you're taking. You have to look at the picture holistically and say, okay, I also coach my kids, or I do this, or I have all these other obligations. We all have obligations outside of work. What are those that I'm committed to? What are those that I can give up? Where am I willing to make sacrifices? Where am I not? And then that starts to now create a picture for us to say, okay, you know what? I don't have 9 hours a day to be able to work on real estate. I have 5. I have 4. Some part-time agents. I have 3, right? This is an exercise I do with a lot of agents that I talk to that want to get into the business part-time. Because they'll say, is it possible? Yes, it's possible. But what's the goal? Oh, the goal is to leave my job. Awesome. How much is that income? 65 grand a year. I need that income. Awesome. So we need 65 grand a year. Well, let's map that out. What is it going to take you to get to 65 grand? Because it's not just 65 grand. You need enough money in the bank where you feel confident and comfortable enough where you're going to be able to make that transition and then still cover that 65 grand that you need every year, right? So it's really not 65 grand. But this is the conversation we have, and then we break that down, because if we don't break that down right now and figure out a plan in the 3 hours a day or 2 hours a day or 1 hour a day that they're going to have available part-time to work in real estate and still achieve what they want to achieve, what are we doing? Complete waste of time. They don't need to be in the industry. But if we break that down and say, hey, listen, for your weekends, are you willing to give up Saturday and Sunday? You have a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. I know that's a lot. So Saturday morning, are you willing to wake up and go work an open house? Are you willing to go door knock? Are you willing to go do these things? Because if the answer is no, what are you doing? Get out of the industry. You're not going to be able to accomplish that. You're not going to be able to work your 9 to 5, not put any time into real estate, and magically just make the transition and make 60. It's not going to happen. So again, skill set, strategy, but those all have to coincide with your ambition and what you're trying to accomplish. And if there's not a comprehensive plan that you're putting together that's going to do that, you're not going to achieve it. End of story.
I want to record that, Mike, because that's like the reason not to get into real estate.
100%. Or it's a reason too, but you got to pick one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the ambition, though, because if you're not in the industry, this business, it's the people and communications business. All we do is we talk with people who are going to be having something happen in their life that are have to require a different place to live, or investing into real estate for different reasons, right? That's it. That's all we do. So our job is simple. It's to become top of mind to people when real estate is happening in their life, so they think about us, trust us to guide them through that process. That's what we do, right? And it's not hard. It's not. It's a simple business. It's just not easy because you have to go through all the self-doubt, all the mind works, everything that goes involved with that one. But here's the thing, to Mike, to your point, if they're going to bed before midnight and watching anything on Netflix, then you're not committed to being successful, right? Because in those 2 hours after the kids go to bed, you have a couple hours that you could do something with to grow your business. You could research. You can get letters done. You can do phone number research. You can start sending out emails. You can prospect, get your list done for tomorrow. You can do that every night. I know you do it. I know I do it, Craig. I know you do it. There's nights that I stay up and I get pissed because I'm like, look how late it is. I got to go to bed to get some sleep. But I'm so fired up working what I'm working on. I mean, I put in the extra 4 or 5 hours at night, right? After my day and after my dad duty, right? And because there's a drive there. So there's no excuse for not being successful. It's you not putting in the effort to do that. Get up early, stay up later, work on the weekends, do the things. What's more important to you? Because it's simple. It's simple. You just need the right path. You need the right push, skills, mindset, motivation, and ability and justification to get outside of your comfort zone, I think is the biggest issue that we have to do.
Well, I want to tie that into a consumer base too, because a lot of people think they can't afford a house.
Yep.
Right? Because their credit score is low, or they don't have enough down payment, or whatever. We have so many options to help people in those situations, but they have to help themselves too. You know, how many people are driving Uber on the side to make extra cash to pay off their debt so they can get their credit score up?
Dude, my Uber driver the other night, he made $900 in a day and a half.
That's
$1.5 shifts.
And that pays down his credit card debt, so his credit score goes up, so he can qualify for a home loan.
Yeah.
Right. And he could save some down payment money. Right. So once again, to your point, there's no excuse. There's always a way if you're willing to do the work.
But even with that example, Craig, and that's a great example, but the start there is you have people that say they want to buy a house. Great. And then they think that their credit's not enough. They think they need a certain down payment. Why don't you know?
Right.
If I really want to buy a house, right? Truly, like I'm committed to owning my own property. Awesome. Step number 1 is, where do I stand currently? Where is my credit score? What is my debt to income ratio? How much money do I have in the bank? And then once I understand those numbers and maybe I'm not there, how far away am I? How much do I need? Do I need 50 grand more? Do I need 10 grand more? Do I need to raise my credit score 100 points? Do I need to raise it 5 points? These are things I need to know, because once I know where I stand, where I want to be, or where I need to be, now I can create a plan strategic plan to get there. But if I'm just saying, you know what, oh, I probably need another 50 grand, let me go drive Uber, you're not going to buy a house because you have no idea. And then you're going to be super pissed if you think that's what you need. You go and drive Uber, you get that money in your bank, and then you go talk to a lender, and he's like, yeah, you got the down payment, but your credit score is 50 points off. It's going to be another 6 months. That's disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to know clarity, focus, ambition has to match the actions we're taking. So those are things that we teach our agents. Take your clients through that, right? I have a client right now that I helped rent a home 2.5 years ago with Divvy, right? They called me the other day and said, hey, we're coming up on our 30-year mark. We really want to buy. We're not sure if we can afford it. I said, no problem. Hooked them up with my lender. He called me back and said, yeah, they're not quite there, but we created a 6-month plan. And if they follow that 6-month plan, they're going to be there in 6 months. Great. Right? So now they'll be there in 6 months and we'll work them towards that. But if you don't have somebody in your corner helping you with that, then, and you're just blindly making statements like, I want to buy a house, I want to buy an investment, I want to, bullshit. No, you don't. Not really. Not yet. Right? It's a thought, but it hasn't become an actual want yet or need yet because you have not taken any action towards it.
Well, it's the exact same formula, right? It's the why. I want to buy a house. Now that I love that statement. You can buy a house. If you've got crappy ass credit, you can still buy a house. It might not be the house you want, but you can go buy a house in the middle of BFE with a hard money lender and own a piece of real estate this weekend. Right? There's somebody who will loan you money at a hard money, high interest rate to own a piece of property. So congratulations.
Hey,
right?
where is BFE?
It's right outside Egypt. So, but that's true, right? So there's your why, but that's not really what I want, Jeff. Okay, well, what do you want? Well, I really want to live in Shady Hills subdivision. Well, that's a whole different why, right? Why? Well, because it's in my school district for my kids. Ah, okay. Well, it costs this. Talk to the lender. You're here. You need to be here. That requires there's a gap, correct? So to get here from here requires skill, more action than you're taking right now, a different mindset that you can actually do it, the ability to get outside of your comfort zone, and some accountability to yourself to not spend money the way you've been spending it, to be a little sharper to your loan officer accountability so you can be here in 6 months from now. It's the exact same formula. Exact same. With everything we do in life are those things right there.
It's all a process.
The whole process. So I think that's a good segue to this one. I think that kind of sums up what we've got going on in the marketplace right now. And this is, I don't care what industry you're in, what you do for a living, where you live, what you do, what you're buying, what you're thinking about buying, what you're doing to get to your life to a next level. That simple formula is, it's you can't argue it. It's impossible. It hurts, right, when you take a self-assessment of it, but it's absolutely the truth on that one. So go do that one more time. It's your why plus your skills, mindset, action, comfort zone accountability equals your current bank statement balance and your asset list. And if you want to increase this whole side, you've got to pump up all of these sides, starting back with your why in the beginning. So
Love it.
there's this week's message for you guys. We will see you next time. Give us a like on this one. If you're watching on the YouTube channels, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Tag a friend who thinks to see this if you've seen other platforms. And we really appreciate your time. Hopefully we're bringing you guys some value. And hit us up with any questions, comments along the way, and we'll see you again next week.